enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there, and on that, the IAC is focused. The challenge for us here is to leverage Israel's successes into our successes. Israel's weakness is ours and Israel's strength is ours. Our job in the diaspora is to leverage those wins and win here. Do to our enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there, and on that, the IAC is focused.
Bibi would call me so many times, can you get me this weapon, that weapon, that weapon? Some of them I never heard of, Bibi, and I made them. But we'd get them here, wouldn't we? And they are the best. They are the best. But you used them well. It also takes people that know how to use them. And you obviously used them very well.
Do to our enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there, and on that, the IAC is focused. Do to our enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there, and on that, the IAC is focused. Do to our enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there. Do to our enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there.
People are already suffering, and the suffering is going to get a lot worse. And the suffering is going to get a lot worse.
Hello, good people. It's Rob Lee. If all wars are banker wars, who owns the banks? Answer it, and you have the culprits behind the wars. And also, as I come to you on this December evening, in 2025, with my Father and Jesus' help and guidance, we will be putting out an important teaching for these last days called The Antichrist and Satan's Little Season, The Truth Revealed. I hope to do it sometime within the next 7 to 10 days. Now, moving forward, Israeli billionaire,
did to its enemies there.
Anti-Israel Americans deserve what Israel did to the Palestinians. And as we played that clip of many pro-Jewish forums, you heard this man say that we must do to our enemies here, speaking of the United States, as we did in Gaza. This is the true intentions of these people and who they really are. You see, where we're at right now, evil doesn't hide behind a mask any longer. Those days are gone. You see, for so long, these people would put their hand in a velvet glove, and it was clean. Now the hand is out of the glove, and you see that hand for what it truly is. It's an evil, filthy, diseased hand, filled with nothing but evil. A couple had a child, and starting in about the 5th grade, this child was to be kicked out of 20 schools. And his family moved numerous times to enroll their boy in new schools. And this went all the way up until the 10th grade. And he was expelled permanently. They would go to this county, to that school, and he was expelled permanently for his evil behavior. The parents reasoned that all the teachers, all the students, all the county and town faculty were against their boy. They were out to get him. You see, it was everyone else's fault. Never once did they think it may be their son's fault. No, it was always the school, always the other students. The people called the Jewish Synagogue of Satan have been kicked out of 109 countries, and roughly half were white Western nations. If your child is kicked out of 20 schools, it's the child and his parents' fault, period. It isn't the schools or other students' fault. If you as a people or a nation get kicked out of over 100 nations, it's not the nation's fault. It's your fault. It's the Jewish Synagogue of Satan's fault, period. There was a time when people could discern evil and evil people. The state of Israel, the synagogue of Satan, knows the masses have turned against them. The jig is up. The mask is off, and now they are revealing themselves and their true intent of who and what they really are. They control the food, water, money, power, gas, oil, internet, and more. And they can shut it down, and they are more than evil and desperate enough at this point to do this, to make it harder and harder and harder. They will try to make the people submit to their evil and or do without. However, brethren, they cannot shut down your Father and Jesus. The time of people being able to understand the truth is gone because people don't have a spirit. You see, to be of the Father, you have to have a spirit of the Father. A spirit, the spirit that lives in you. Now, some of you know, because we've been talking about it, and we've done preachings about it going back 2 years, that the United States and Israel wanted war with Iran, and the latest is Venezuela and anybody else, because that's what's going to happen. Now, Venezuela, of all places, now it is true, Venezuela has more oil than the Saudis, and it's a better quality oil than the U.S. has. However, as the merchants of Babylon plot to steal and ruin other nations, very few see behind all this, oh, it's just about the oil, because it has everything to do with the end times. Here are some quotes from the man named Nicolas Maduro. He is the Venezuelan president that Trump has said, you have to go. We demand you got to go, or we're going to remove you. We're going to bomb your country. We're going to surround your country. We're blowing up boats. If you believe the boats are really being blown up, what matters is they want him out. Do they want the oil? Yes, but is there something else going on? Let me give you some quotes from Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, and you tell me if this resonates with you of where we're at. Maduro labeled Zionism as more dangerous than Nazism. He said, and I quote, "Now the supremacists of today's Zionism want to wipe out the Palestinian people. They've sown an ideology more dangerous than Nazism." In 2025, Maduro, and I quote, called Benjamin Netanyahu the Hitler of the 21st century. He also, and I quote, called him a fake Jew and a crook from Poland. Maduro said the Jews, and I quote, controlled the satellites and the media, and that they pumped opposition financing to, quote, listen to me, to sow discord among the people. So now we hear that Nicolas Maduro is a terrorist. He's a terrorist. You hear it on all of the media, social media, he's a terrorist. But in whose narrative is he the terrorist? And whose media is he being told, the people are being told he's a terrorist? It's owned by the Jewish Synagogue of Satan. Who funds and controls it? The Jewish Synagogue of Satan. He's a terrorist. He's a narco-terrorist. See, all they have to do is call you a terrorist. They've been doing it for 25 years. Going back to Oklahoma City, when we had homegrown terrorists, you see, Then September of 2001, more terrorism, terrorists. And what you have is the greatest terrorist in the world calling those who speak out against them terrorists to justify and cover up their own terrorism. You see, when they call you a terrorist, it's called, and they can lock you up without giving you a trial. It's called indefinite detention. And you don't have to give a trial to people who are considered terrorists. Maduro said the Jews controlled the media and they pumped opposition financing to, quote, sow discord. Sow discord. I want to read something to you before we go further. This is from the Holy Word. This is Acts chapter 13, verses 45 and 50. Not 45 through 50, but verses 45 and 50. But when the Jews saw the multitudes, they were filled with envy, and they were talking about the people that believed in Jesus. They were filled with envy and spake against those things which were spoken by Paul, contradicting the what? The holy truth, and blaspheming. Verse 50. But the Jews stirred up the devout and honorable women and the chief men of the city, and raised persecution against Paul and Barnabas, and expelled them out of their coasts. So what did they do? They stirred up the men and women of the city. They put them against one another. So in discord, you better know it. Now we go to Acts chapter 14, verses 2. Read with me, brethren, verses 2 and 4. But the unbelieving Jews stirred up the Gentiles, and the word Gentile means nation. They stirred up the Gentiles and made their minds evil affected against the brethren. So again, they're stirring up the people against the people. Verse 4. But the multitude of the city was divided, and part held with the Jews, and part with the apostles of Jesus. So, they divided. You divide, and then you conquer, and you play both sides. Read with me, and I ask you, before we go further, if this is exactly what the Israeli-U.S. coalition, the merchants of Babylon, the devil's children, does and is. Proverbs chapter 6, verses 16 through 19, what the one true Father in heaven, Jehovah, and that is his name, what he hates. Yes, your father hates. He hated a man named Esau. Proverbs 6, verses 16 through 19. These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. 17, a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. That's the United States, and that is the Jewish synagogue of Satan. 18, a heart that deviseth wicked imaginations, feet that be swift and running to mischief. The Jewish synagogue of Satan. A false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. The Jewish synagogue of Satan and its whore, the United States. So proud, no shame, no humility, because there is no good in them. They shed innocent blood. They devise the most wicked acts known to mankind. They steal, murder, lie, and then blame all others for their crimes. So, Trump pardoned the biggest narco-terrorist ever in Latin America, in South America. It was Honduras. Ex-President Juan Orlando Hernandez was sentenced to 45 years for helping drug traffickers. Now, Hernandez flooded America with 400 tons of cocaine. 400 tons. And he was pardoned by Donald Trump, but Nicolas Maduro is called a narco-terrorist because he criticized the Jewish synagogue of Satan. And yet this evil nation sends people to prison for plants and a few pieces of drugs. They are hypocrites and they are double-minded because they are pure evil. And people are speaking out against them. However, this doesn't mean they're on the side of right. For the only side that is right, true, and of the one true Father in heaven is the side of Jesus. So when you see people like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Dan Bazillion, and a few others, they are nothing more than Jesuits. That's what they are. Even in the world of evil, sometimes pigs and dogs fight among other pigs and dogs. And if one of them wants to talk about their religion or they want to put a cross in the background, fine. Jesus said you will know them by their fruits. Praise your Father for all this, because his will is always being done. The people of this world are getting ready to see changes and the struggles the likes of which they've never known. And through all of this, the one thing that you're going to see always is the lie. People will be searching for answers. My life is going to get bad. This is what they say. I can't do it. I can't make it. And they're going to be looking for answers, and they're going to end up lost in a maze of lies and deceit. And they'll read riddles wrapped in mysteries to look for help. How can I get some help? And the only one who has the help, the only one who has the answer is Jehovah Father. And yet Jehovah Father, his glorious Son Jesus, and the Holy Word is shunned, mocked, and ridiculed. This world loves its own. It loves its own. Hear me, brethren. Truth and lies may live in the same county. They may live in the same neighborhood, but they don't live in the same person. You're either of the truth or you are of the lie. And if you're of the truth, you are of Jesus, not 50%, not 20%, not 90%, 100%. I'm going to keep giving you the advice and wisdom that Father has had me tell his children for 2 years. You stay away from the liars of this world. You stay away from this world as much as you possibly can. You stay away from the system as much as you can. Sometimes we have to put our head in it because we have to do things. And you do not get caught up in this world, the lies, the questions, the theater, and the evil that moves it. And you do not talk with pigs and dogs. You live in spirit. You keep your eyes on the higher life, and that is Jesus, and the life that is coming in his kingdom, in which you, brethren, you and I have a place in his kingdom. We're his children. We're not just somebody who's, we're the outsiders. We are the insiders. We are his children. I think sometimes even his own children don't understand. Don't you understand how loved you are? Don't you understand how important you are? How special you are? That the Father and Jesus said, we chose you before the foundation of this world. You're our children. You've been predestinated for it. There are many traits of the children of the Almighty Father. However, one of these traits is not having very many friends, sometimes none. Another trait is being without any real family bonds or ties. At no other time in mankind for Father's children is this truer than right now. And our Father has had me to tell you, to warn you to stay clear of these people. Make it a high and a bye. Nice weather, bad weather, cold weather, gotta go, see you. No, it's just Jesus for me. I don't want to get into Trump. I don't want to get into that subject. No, it's just Jesus for me. See you. I have to go. Bye. Thank you. We must trust our Father in Jesus. Brethren, be strong in your Father in Jesus. We close with these words. Psalms 34:22. The Lord redeemeth the soul of his servants, and none of them that trust in him shall be desolate. Trusting our Father. Trust in our Father in Jesus. Psalms 62:8. Trust in him at all times, ye people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. Salah. Proverbs 1:15, verse 9. O Israel, us, not the fake Israel, you, Israel, you, because you're the Israelite. They're not the Israelites. They're imposters. The preachers won't tell you that. Psalms 115:9. O Israel, trust thou in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. The real Israelites. Psalms 91:2. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in him will I trust. Jesus always reminds you and me that he and Father are with us always. And as we walk these last days, to be strong and remember they're with us always. They see and hear us always. And he reminds you to stay clear of those that are not of our family. Jesus always tells us he is king, he is boss, and there is nothing that he cannot do. Jesus has been given all power. Jesus always tells you and I that we belong to him and we are greatly loved. We are to finish our walk and remember our love And the life that we have with our Father in Jesus is eternal. It has no ending. It's infinite. The love that Jesus and Father have for you and me is infinite. It's so big, it has no ending. It's bigger than we can understand. There's never been a moment, not 1 second of your life, that the Father and Jesus weren't right there with us. And remember, nobody loves you like your Father and Jesus. Nobody can. In Jesus' glorious and mighty name, I thank you all for being here with us today as we see the children of Jesus gather to worship our Father and His glorious Son Jesus. In Jesus' holy and wonderful name, amen.